the PDP and the Labour Party had come together, most likely, and I say most likely because it's analysis, we need to satisfy the basis of all things being equal. We don't know whether all things were going to be equal, but if you look at just adding the figures, which is non-scientific, I have to say, just adding the figures, you will suggest that perhaps if they had come together as they did in 2019. So this is a poster of Atiku. It says, let's get Nigeria working again. Later on, Donald Trump was talking about that earlier. So I think they picked it from Donald Trump's line. Let's get Nigeria working again. It's Atiku Abubakar and Peter Obi. This is the 2019 flyer of their political party on the left of your screen. Now look at the results on the left of your screen. You see it. In that election, APC, which is the ruling party, won 19 seats. So this is Muhammadu Buhari at the time. At that time, 55.60% of the votes was garnered by APC. Then a PDP, which is the group that we are talking about, Peter Obi and Atiku Abubakar, both of them got 17 seats together, including the Abuja, the FCT. They won 11 votes and got 41.22%. Okay, now they decided to split up in this particular election. And when they decided to split up, this is what you got. So election 2023 results are as follows. They got Bola Tinubu to slip in, the old man they call him, 70-year-old man they call him. Bola Tinubu slips in with 8.7% of the votes. Atiku Abubakar is gaining 6.9 and Peter Obi is gaining 6.1. Now Peter Obi is the revelation of the election. So if you look at the addition here, if you do Atiku plus Obi, they get 13 million. So maybe the real question for the Nigerian people is not so much that politics has not changed. It's about the decisions that political people make when it gets to the election. I said before that it's only in politics and in sports, actually, football politics and political politics, that you find somebody is going into a ditch. The person who can save him is his enemy, political enemy. So he doesn't want to be saved. He wants to die. It's only in politics that you find that. I've never understood that about politicians. I've hung around them for the longest time, you know that. All of them, making certain decisions that will inure to victory can be particularly problematic. When for you, the researcher, or for the analyst, you stand outside and tell them that this is the way you should go. You should pick this man as your running mate. You win the election. They talk like that. They don't seem to. That's what has happened in Nigeria. So for the Nigerian young people and the youth who are crying about the system, it is about understanding compromises. It's very, very important. If these two had paired, there's a high chance that they could have won the election. But why couldn't they pair? There was concern about some rotational leadership, rotational presidency of some sort. Peter Obi believed that it was his time to lead. In fact, you have to agree that among the three candidates, in terms of the one with the freshness, was Peter Obi. Peter Obi was going to carry the narrative of any new voter and all of that was going to be Peter Obi. Later tonight, we'll be coming to understand the voter turnout situation in Nigeria, because we have been made to believe that the election had a high voter turnout. When Alhassan Bello comes, he'll be telling us that the election actually had a less than 30% voter turnout. How is that possible? 200 million Nigerians, 90 million were registered on the electoral roll. 24 something million cast their votes on Tuesday and Wednesday. Was it Tuesday, Saturday, and was it Saturday? Saturday and Sunday. They cast their votes on Saturday and Sunday. 24 million only. The entire Lagos state. How many votes were garnered? Only 1 million between the two candidates. Just about 1 million votes. Accra will be recording more votes than 1 million. So really, I'm not understanding that. But that's a conversation we'll have when Alhassan Bello joins us. So this is the analysis I want to end with. That let's look at this closely. For those of us in Ghana, we have been showing you the things that happen in Nigeria that happen in Ghana. Sometimes we don't look, but it happens. We think it won't happen, but it will happen. People have to start looking at choices and pairings and all of that. It's very, very important. You're getting into a crucial election. Peter Obi and Atiku Abubakar both must have themselves to blame tonight that they have not received the certificate of return from the Electoral Commission, that either of them have not received that. The Nigerians didn't want Bola Tinubu to lead. If it was so bad that Obasanjo didn't want Bola Tinubu to lead, if it was so bad that all the churches in Nigeria, most of the churches, I have to say, did not want Bola Tinubu to lead, if it was so bad that most of our celebrated stars on the silver screen did not want Tinubu to lead, how difficult was it for these two men to talk together and be able to garner 13,000 votes, which they got? If the PDP and the Labour Party had come the PDP and the Labour Party had come together, most likely, and I say most likely because it's analysis, we need to call, was it for these two men to talk together and be able to garner 13,000 votes, which they got as separate people? they got 13,000 as separate people. It meant nothing. It meant that the 38% Ghana of votes is going to rule Nigeria. It means that as much as 62 it will be percent did not vote for Bola Tinubu. 62% of Nigerians did not vote for Bola Tinubu. But Bola Tinubu will most likely be sworn in. He's already received the certificate of return. He'll be sworn in. Why? Because people refuse to listen and people refuse to talk to each other. These two men had been together in 2019. Unity is always very, very, very important. Unity for political purpose is always very important. Later tonight, I'll get you the classical definition about Bola Tinubu based on the results of the elections that have occurred. Based on the results of the election that have occurred, Bola Tinubu is an important figure here. I think that based on the figures that we're going to share with you, that he has fought a very strong fight. Here is a man, Bola Tinubu, who has had to fight against all of these people. There are rumors, unconfirmed, that Muhammad Buhari was not on his side, even though Buhari is the boss of his party, being the reigning president. Peter Obi, who is my own personal candidate, I like Peter Obi very much. Peter Obi was generating a narrative that was successful. Peter Obi generated the most successful narrative in this election. You can call him a Kennedy Japan or something like that, but his narrative was the most successful. Peter Obi was able to change a lot of things about historical Nigerian elections, and when we go to the graph, you will see it, that Obi has changed quite a bit. So Bola Tinubu was fighting against the silent weapon of Muhammadu Buhari, because Buhari doesn't say much. He just works it out. And Tinubu supporters are telling us tonight that they are sure that Buhari did not support them. We will see how that plays out in the results in Katsina and places like that when we start sharing it with you. And then here's Atiku Abubakar, who's a veteran politician, isn't he? Atiku Abubakar is an old politician, former vice president of Obasanjo. Now see this. In spite of the fact that Obasanjo doesn't like Atiku Abubakar, both of them united against Bola Tinubu. So Tinubu fights against former president Obasanjo, who doesn't like him. Now, Tinubu and Obasanjo have not liked each other for a very, very long time. Why? Because when Obasanjo was in power as PDP president, Tinubu was winning Lagos all the time as opposition. You know how Nigerians do it, what we've been calling for Ghana to do. They vote the district level elections and the state elections on political basis. So the government in Abuja was Obasanjo, but Tinubu as opposition APC was continuously winning Lagos. So they didn't like each other. And then Tinubu ran over his term. He couldn't run again. And then Obasanjo presented a candidate in Lagos, and Tinubu presented Fashola. Fashola won it and won it for 2 terms. So Tinubu and Obasanjo have not been the best of friends. Obasanjo weighs into this election against Tinubu. So you have the strong voice of Olusegun Obasanjo. You can't forget the influence of Chief Obasanjo. And then Atiku Abubakar, former vice president. You have current president Muhammadu Buhari. And then you have the narrative of Peter Obi. In spite of all of that, 70-year-old Bola Tinubu emerges as the winner and would most likely become the next president of Nigeria. I think there's something to say for Bola Tinubu on that one. But now we have to go to the number crunching. If the PDP...
But the most significant thing, as I said, is been some personality cult. It's been a typical characteristic phenomenon in pseudo-democracies. We are still moving from that. We haven't reached there. We are still in a patrimonialist state where patronage is key. Wow. And don't forget, with the greatest respect, the APC's performance at the presidential level, in my scientific view, was based on the tenacity and doggedity of their candidate.
Thank you.
Not their party.
Yeah.
If they had somebody else, they would have been ruptured, politically ruptured. Then don't get very tenacious. He was severely attacked, probably the most attacked candidate since 1999. But you see, he has a cult of followers. He has scientific methods for reaching out. So as they destroyed that image, the rebuilding was immediate. And that was why he was able to stand the test of time, notwithstanding that he comes up with the lowest margin since 1999. But it shows, of course, in dimension in the reduction of votes, which is being checked by beavers, because the inflammation of figures has been severely lowered. So we are getting, as my brother said, he was perceived by his followers and those who believed in him as representing what the others didn't have. Again, you saw the massive movement. You can look at Kwankwaso. He's always had the identity of the Kwankwasia movement. He's seen as probably the replacement to Muhammadu Buhari as leader of the Talakawas. Now, so these are the personalities that defined 2023. So, but the most significant thing, as I said, is been